I believe we are live. We are doing an audio test.
Live on Twitter.
Okay, we're live on Twitter, we're live on YouTube. I guess we can start with some introductions if you're all okay with that before we get into it all.
Yeah.
You feel?
Sounds good.
All right, great. Well, first of all, we want to welcome everyone who's joining us. We are Sesameseed, and we have not been streaming on our YouTube and Twitter as often as we were maybe a year ago. We're excited to be back. We're going to be talking a lot about the applications that we've been building, the blockchains that we have been supporting, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about Sprout and the new blockchain that we're going to. So before we get into it, let's start with some introductions. We have one of our longest standing team members here all the way from the East Coast. We're very excited to have you. Danny, any words?
Hello everyone, I'm Danny. Been with Sesameseed since the almost very beginning, in 2018. And it's been a pleasure being with these guys for that long and coming a long way. And today we're very excited to share what we've been working on for the best part of the last year.
Awesome, thank you so much. And then Julian?
Hey guys, I'm Julian. You guys all know me from Sesameseed. Been working hard on this for a long time. I should say, I'm Julian, the CEO of Sesameseed. I've been working on this for a long time. We're really happy to work with these guys. We've been having a lot of fun working on some really cool new things. I'm excited to talk about it. It's been a long time, a lot of work to get to this point, and we're looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm Humpty, and also been here as long as Danny and Julian, working on Sesameseed and really trying to get this information out to as many people as we can. We're on social media, on Twitter, on Reddit, on YouTube, on Telegram, where our community exists. And so, we encourage everyone that may be new to Sesameseed, just learning about us, to join us everywhere. A lot of these channels are linked on the YouTube description below. But we'll also keep sharing this information on Twitter and, of course, on Telegram. So why don't we get started a little bit with an overview about Sesameseed for, again, anyone who may be new to Sesameseed or to staking. What is Sesameseed?
Sure. So just so everyone's aware, Sesameseed was started in early 2018. So we're actually just about to touch on our 2-year mark, so that's great. We started basically as a community-focused project. If you guys recall, we launched this whole thing with Reddit posts. We went out there and we saw what DPOS was doing. We saw that there was an opportunity for the community to really come in and participate in decentralized governance for a blockchain. And we said, hey, community, let's put together this cool thing. We're going to stake together, we're going to reward our community, and we're going to incentivize that as best we can to be fair and decentralized and transparent to everyone. That was our kickoff. That's how we got started as a community-focused organization.
Yeah, and that was almost 2 years to the date, right? We're getting real close to that 2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And so Danny, can you tell us a little bit about how you found out about Sesameseed originally from the beginning?
So I was on Reddit and I was really into crypto. I was really new and I was learning. And one of the first things I learned was about staking on Tron, and that really got me interested because I could build my small portfolio way back then. And I looked through some of the representatives back then, and Sesameseed made the most sense to me. You guys were still really young. It was maybe one Reddit post. So I joined the conversation, I interacted with you guys, and kind of just started. I was invited to a private chat, and we've been going hard since then.
Yeah, well, that's very true. So can we talk a little bit about what Sesameseed has been doing since we launched 2 years ago on the blockchains that we currently represent?
Sure. So I guess the most important piece of Sesameseed is how we incentivize community staking is a little different. We do distribute rewards. We do this on Tron and Ontology today, and new chain that we'll be talking about later. We do provide rewards on those 2 blockchains back to our community. We reserve a portion of that to actually run the organization. But what's most interesting is the token that we have. Essentially what happens is, as you guys know, we issue a token every day called SEED token, and we issue this on Tron as well as Ontology. There is a maximum number of 100,000 SEED that are issued per day across all blockchains, and those tokens are backed by the node rewards that we receive. So because we operate nodes on Ontology and Tron, we take 100% of those node rewards and we put them into a peg or a backing of those SEED tokens that are issued, and we allow the community to redeem those. What's most interesting about that is, well, so let me just do some basic math here. So let's say that we earn 100,000 Tron, and we issue 100,000 SEED. That means that the SEED that you receive can be redeemed for 1 SEED. But what's been happening is we receive more rewards than 100,000, and because of that, this peg, this backing of the SEED goes up over time. So today, where a year ago we had 1 SEED was backed by 1 Tron, today it's backed by 1.1 Tron or more, as well as Ontology tokens, as well as ONG tokens, and future tokens that we'll be talking about. But that was really our focus, was to allow people to stake, to make it so that their reward was a token that was still backed by tokens that are staked, so we can efficiently generate more rewards off of those and continue to reward those that hold the token. So people that hold these SEED are proxy voting with the tokens that back them, and they're being rewarded every day again as a result.
Right.
So that's really where all this came from, and I think we're going to talk a little more about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things that Sesameseed has done incredibly well from the very beginning is they are very innovative. They're looking for solutions in this ecosystem, in staking, for example, and they look for ways to make an impact, to be different. And beyond just, being community driven, the other thing that was very unique in the space was SEED itself. And for the community that's been participating or staking for Sesameseed since 2 years ago, the return, the value to staking is much higher for many reasons. And we'll go into some of those things. So let's talk a little bit about SEED then. What is SEED and how does it work?
Sure. So as I was starting to get into there, SEED is a really interesting token. Because every SEED is backed by those node rewards, what we do with those is we revote for ourselves. We restake those rewards for ourselves as efficiently as we possibly can. So that means as soon as we can and constantly. And what that does is it makes SEED an ever participating token for Sesameseed. And those backed tokens generate rewards themselves, and we redistribute those in the form of seed-to-seed holders. So what happens is SEED is voting for Sesameseed. If you hold a SEED on Tron, it's voting for Sesameseed on Tron, but it's also staking for Sesameseed on Ontology, and it'll be staking for Sesameseed on future blockchains as well. So a SEED is a very powerful token in that way because you're able to participate across chain, even though you may just be staking on one, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of the other really interesting point there is because we're so efficient with how we do this, what it does is it makes SEED participate a little more so than the native token. So you do see a constant building of those rewards on the SEED token over time too.
Right, exactly. And I think, we really wanted to lay them out very clearly, at least some of the more commonly talked about features for SEED, and which you covered to some degree, is the multi-chain aspect of it. The barrier to entry to staking is high. So many people who potentially are staking on Tron wouldn't be doing so on multiple blockchains for many reasons.
Yes.
Aside from also needing to purchase that token or transfer the value, go to an exchange, get another token and start staking, learning that ecosystem. What SEED does is it makes that participation that much more simple, right? Just by holding it, you are now actively staking on multiple blockchains.
Yep.
The auto staking feature as well is another feature that is really powerful, that potentially doesn't get talked about a lot, but that is the ability that it actually stakes the rewards that you earn. Thank you, Julian. The rewards that you earn back into back into Sesameseed. Excuse me. There we go. All right. And then beyond that, also those rewards that you are now auto staking, they are going to be compounding. So they're earning more rewards, right? Staking power, which you mentioned, right? The seed token itself many times has a stronger staking power than the native coin itself because of the backing that it has, right? And then the redeemability, which is part of why we're here today, to talk about that feature that Sprout is trying to serve. So let's move into Sprout then. I think that is a good segue into Sprout. Can we hear a little bit about the history of Sprout? Why did it come to exist? What's the need?
So I'll just do a quick intro, and I guess you can expand.
Sure.
Kind of the initial need was some of these more unique features of seed token, compounding, the ability to redeem the token, the ability to move it across chain. Things like this were key. They could not be accomplished on a single blockchain because obviously if a seed is backed by tokens on two blockchains, it couldn't be done by one. And so we noticed the need for utility.
Yeah. So to add to that, I think from what Humpty said and what Julian said, we've always tried, at least with the seed token, to make it easier to stake, to make it more convenient for the stakeholder on any chain to just stake and kind of forget about it, and then seed would do its own thing. Sprout was made to make all that more convenient, and all the other chains in the future more convenient. All the utilities for seed, everything you need to do with seed would be built in Sprout and more. This is like for example, ontology. We made staking 500 ONT was the minimum for ontology. We made it with 1 ONT. Sprout is that kind of tool for us that makes it simple to stake on any chain. So whatever you hold, if we're on that chain, it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to make it more simple for the user experience to stake and build that portfolio. Kind of the same vision that I came into Sesameseed with, we're still carrying with that with Sprout.
Yeah. So, I mean, why did Sesameseed feel like it needed to create their own staking wall? I mean, I understand that there's a value to how it interacts with seed, but just generally, why Sesameseed?
Yeah, so I mean, from kind of my perception, there are a ton of really great wallets that are out there. There's some fantastic ones on Tron, Ontology, both that really great support there. This isn't meant to specifically compete with them. I think that what our goal was just to offer these additional utilities. So something else that we did notice is there is some complexity in staking. It's not, I'm sure this video has a lot of people listening in, some of which you can stake on Tron, no problem.
Yep.
And same with Ontology, and same with some other chains. But some that have never done it, and to be perfectly honest, your first time, if you all recall, is complicated, and it's not standardized, and it's challenging to do. And so one of the first things that we saw, besides all of these seed utilities that require a multi-chain wallet, is maybe the ability to standardize that and simplify that as much as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic point, and I think that again proves or reinforces that idea that Sesameseed's purpose is to really simplify or make as effortless as possible the act of staking. And I remember early on, the idea was really to kind of serve this one community of seed holders. But as the project continued to grow and evolve, we saw that there was potential in expanding that vision to keeping to the Sesameseed mission, which is to keep things simple, to incentivize and simplify. And so Sprout really evolved from that mission as well. So it's really great to, I've been a part of the alpha, and we'll talk a little bit more about the beta in a little bit, but I've seen how that can definitely be something that is useful for anyone that is either one, not staking today, or two, is staking but isn't staking on another blockchain to create something much more simple. So why don't we talk a little bit about the features that are available on Sprout?
Sure. We can start with login and how you can interact with Sprout. You can interact with Sprout with your private key, any blockchain we support with the private key, or we have the mnemonic method of logging in, which you would create a new account or a new account in Sprout, and it will create you addresses and accounts for every blockchain we're on and every blockchain that we will be on in the future, which you can kind of touch on.
Yeah, so again, the couple of things that we're focused on here are keeping it decentralized, making sure that you have your keys, it's your wallet. This is just an interface for that. We keep it decentralized. We want to make it as simple as we can, and we want to make it as secure as we can as well. So the PK method is something that a lot of people are very familiar with, just especially on Tron. It's extremely popular. You have that ability to log in to Sprout as a wallet with that. You can then also have the ability to make a wallet using a mnemonic phrase, like you said. Sprout works in an interesting way. It's going to allow you as a user to link addresses from different blockchains together. So what that means is when you log in with a PK, you're logging into your Sprout account, and from there you'll be able to link an ontology account, for example, to that. If you log in with a mnemonic, though, what it's going to actually do is generate keys for you on every blockchain that Sprout participates with, as well as all future blockchains. You won't have to make a new one, and it'll automatically link those to each other.
And so, in a way, this mnemonic wallet creation future-proofs your experience, your staking experience on the blockchain, because you are now not saying, well, I'm only going to be creating a wallet for Tron, Ontology, and any other blockchain that we're announcing after this or immediately after this, but also any new blockchains that we're growing. And we're growing. The list is out there. We share that on Twitter, on all of our social medias. There's a lot of blockchains that we're currently exploring that we may go to tomorrow, the next week, the following week. And so now you future-proof that participation. That's great. So what I guess other features that are available to it are redeeming. Can we talk a little bit about redeeming and how that works with Seed?
Sure. So Julian went into kind of the account linking. When you redeem a seed token, you can basically select which seed you have, and going through the process, it will redeem you the back tokens to all the addresses that are linked in, that you've linked. And if you haven't linked it, it stays in the claim. There will be a claimable balance section where you can link in your other blockchain address and redeem it from there. So if you have mnemonic, you don't have to do any of that. You just create the account, and if you redeem, all of the funds from that redemption process goes into the accounts that are already within your account. I think there's some things we can talk about with fractions.
Yeah.
And how much you can redeem.
Yeah. So there are some like caveats to the redeem piece. Obviously, things like the ONT token itself doesn't support fractions. It's an indivisible token. So you do need to redeem enough tokens to acquire that whole fraction to be able to claim that amount. As an example, but for me, Redeem is a cornerstone of Sesameseed as an organization because Seed token really relies on those peg tokens. It relies on this community effect, and redeeming really demonstrates that. So this is something that we want people to come in and play with and test it and burn a Seed token and witness what happens and see how this vision of Sesameseed actually allowing you to claim that balance back at your discretion is possible. I think that this is extremely important, and I'm going to invite people to do so,
Yeah.
to at least experience that, so that they can see, wow, this is a really cool thing that I'm a part of.
Well, to me, actually, the redeem function is our kind of prove it phase, because on Tron we've done it. People were able to redeem their Tron once we first started, but right now this is our prove it phase for the multi-chain. Because up until this point you couldn't redeem your seed on ontology, for example, and this is our prove it phase. I don't see too many people redeeming seed just because of its value,
Sure.
but it's there if you want to use it. If there's any reason why you want to redeem it, it's there.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a really good point. I think, many times when Sesame Seed has gone into new blockchains, the question is, why do I want seed? And we can really sit there all day and talk about its value, but many people who enter staking onto any particular blockchain want to continue earning rewards from that blockchain. One of the things that we can certainly do, and that we will certainly do, to your point, is through the redeemability of seed with Sprout, we allow them to get those tokens back, or those coins back, and continue being a part of that ecosystem. Very soon after that, though, we see that happen as they enter, our communities on Telegram, for example. They learn about that value of seed beyond just its monetary value. They also understand the power it has across multiple blockchains, and so many times they end up holding that token, because going back to the staking power of that token, you're earning more rewards every day without having to do anything more. So I think that's a good point. I think Sprout allows for Sesame Seed and Seed to prove that it has a value beyond this very technical aspect of it. You can redeem it back with the tokens from that blockchain. Yeah, that's a really good point. Anything else you wanted to add to that, Julian?
Just on the redeem part now, there's some other features that will overlap, but I think that you're right. This is a prove it moment, and I think that's an important moment. And when we go to a new blockchain, I really want to exercise that. I really want people to say, prove it, and us go, there you go.
That's a good point.
That's gotta be good. That's great. That's how it should be.
So I'll be sharing on our Telegram page, the redeem page, so you can kind of see what we're talking about. You can join us on our Telegram page and check it out.
Yep, that's also linked on the YouTube description below, and if you're watching on Twitter, that's linked on our bio or the headline. So you can definitely join our Telegram and see some of these images that we're going to be showing, redeeming. We're talking about wallet creation using either the mnemonic or private keys. So obviously one of the other ones, and this is kind of a standard function for many wallets, is sending and receiving. Is there anything we want to talk about, sending and receiving tokens on Sprout?
Sure. So in the images I just shared, you can kind of see where send, receive, and stake are. We made sending and receiving extremely convenient. You have the address on your on the main dashboard. You can copy and paste that. Or for sending, you can kind of click send, select which blockchain you want to send, and then the page pops up on which token you want to send, how much, and who to. Very simple, all in one place. It's made for convenience. And for receiving also the same way. You click on receive, you click on which blockchain it is, and obviously you can send any token to that blockchain. So Tron has one address and you can send it to. It will show you the QR code, copy your address. It's very straightforward, very convenient.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point. I think what you're really hitting on right there is this was built from the bottom up as a multi-chain wallet. And more importantly, as a multi-chain staking wallet, because it all really drives you and mobilizes you to start staking. And the user interface is built for that. It's built for you to very easily see that there is a lot of ways to interact with multiple blockchains, and beyond that to start staking and earning rewards very simply, very easily. So I think we talked a little bit about account linking, at least we covered it briefly, but do we want to talk a little bit more about what that is, what that means, and the power that you get by doing that?
Sure. So with account linking, you can really interact with your seed. Currently, we're talking about redeem, and we talked about how that's done in swapping. Same, which is we'll talk about later, I guess. You can kind of link in your account to and swap your seed from one blockchain to the other blockchain within the same method. And yeah, it's really unique. It kind of interacts different blockchains together through the seed token, which is, I think, it's pretty powerful. Just to have that functionality.
Yeah, I guess I'll provide some more detail here. It seems like a really simple thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is my address, just attach this one. Like link them together in a database or something. That sounds really simple.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're doing. It's not. Like when you are attempting to link a Tron address to an ontology address, as an example, we actually require signed transactions on both blockchains, and we compare that hash against the other, so we can confirm or validate that like these transactions were issued as a result of a Sprout transaction, and that Sprout transaction is linking these two addresses together. So it's making sure that layer of security is there. The other interesting thing is, once you have a Sprout chain built, a chain of accounts built, you'll have an individual Sprout account, and your ID with that account will carry that list of attached chains that are identifiable to you only. And once you log in, you'll be able to see those addresses and balances. You won't need to log into each one to see that. If you log in with Tron, you'll be able to see what's on ontology and vice versa, and it applies to future chains as well.
Yeah, and when you log in, for example, when you do link your addresses to your Sprout account, when you log in with your Tron account, even if like ontology or the next chain is linked, you still have to sign transactions for that chain. So if you log into Tron and you try to send an ONT token somewhere, you have to sign in with that ontology private key. With account linking, if you create a mnemonic account, you don't have to. It's all convenient. You can just send it because they are already linked.
Yeah, well, that's really good. Well, should we kind of talk a little bit about, I think, let's see, where are we at right now?
Staking?
Staking, yeah. Should we just kind of really identify that is what this is built for? Can we talk a little bit about the multi-chain staking aspect of it?
I think so.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Dan?
So Sprout, simply put, it's a staking model. It's made to make staking extremely convenient for Sesameseed with any chain we're on. In screenshots we'll share later on, same method, one button click, you click on stake, you select which blockchain you want to stake on, you enter the amount. If there's a freezing, you will have that section, and it's made to make staking extremely simple, because on some blockchains it's very hard to understand what staking is. How do you stake? How do you unstake? How do you freeze? I think we've done really well with Sprout with making that very simple.
Yeah.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that it's there's a huge educational burden when it comes to staking for any new blockchain. That's something that really needs to be taken on, and we saw that when we transitioned when we added ontology to our ecosystem, just the complexity there, and trying to standardize that message was something that we kind of went through, and we learned a lot from. And I think that the main takeaways from that are that this is something that can be standardized to some extent. There are some pieces of these blockchains that are fairly universal, and our goal with Sprout is to make this as simple as possible, so that on any chain that is on Sprout, staking is foremost the number one thing that we're looking to provide with this. That it's something that we emphasize the simplicity of, and that's going to be something that we constantly evolve with and work on. So I would expect that from Sprout, and I would expect that in the future.
Yeah, I know some of the conversations that were had early on was, I think the word that we want to really highlight is standardize the process. It is very different across different blockchains. Even on some when you're voting or staking, you have options to do other things. And while that's great, it's empowering, it definitely is distracting or maybe can be a little fearsome for someone who doesn't understand. Am I making the right decision?
Yeah.
And on Sprout, one of the things that I've seen is there's a very standard process to do it across all blockchains. So that is really something that I think can help simplify the process and hopefully encourage more people that don't understand the process or really just want to get in and try it to see that it can be very simply done across all blockchains.
Yeah. With Sprout, the way you said that, if you hold so many tokens and Sesameseeds on them, imagine the other methods you would do to stake for Sesameseed. You would have to have a wallet on each blockchain in order to stake for Sesameseed, which kind of it requires a lot of different wallets, a lot of different methods of doing it. On Sesameseed, any chain we're on, you can stake for Sesameseed in that wallet. So whatever tokens you're holding, it makes it extremely convenient.
Yeah,
that's really good. So what blockchains, and we're not getting to the reveal yet, but right now, what blockchains have we announced that Sprout is supporting? Where are we at right now?
We have Tron and Ontology so far. And you can stake, send, receive, redeem on all those chains as of today. And this has been alpha tested for the past few weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, I can vouch for that. I've seen definitely been part of that. There's a lot of feedback that's been collected from those of us who've been involved in the alpha test process, even some bug reporting to make sure that we are making sure that when this launches, it is not just simple, but also secure.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So I did hear you talk about swapping. There are some features that maybe aren't ready yet, but these are some features that are going to be delivered maybe even during the beta process.
Yeah.
What's the vision for Sprout? What are some of these features that Sprout wants to bring into the platform into the future?
So swapping is one of them. Swapping your seed across different chains. That's a feature that could come in anytime during our beta process. Maybe after launch, but it depends on timelines and depends on new chain we're announcing later on today. There are other features like transactions, transaction history. So what's really cool about Sprout is it makes you look at your rewards very simply. You can see we sent rewards on this day, how much, what chain. It makes all that convenient. I know we get a ton of questions. Did I get my seed? Can you check my address? This makes it extremely convenient for all chains in one page, which is a transactions page. That won't be ready for launch, I don't believe, but that's something that will be coming afterwards, which I think will make a huge convenience for anyone that's staking.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
being able to see everything in one window. I mean, personally, I do use other wallets for staking on other blockchains, and there is something that isn't so simple as seeing your rewards very, very easily across all blockchains.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really good point. Anything else that we're missing here as far as like the vision for Sprout into the future, some of these features that it wants to onboard soon after launch?
There's a lot that's in the pipeline. There is a lot. Sprout, transaction details, things like that are pretty right there on the edge of pushing into it. So those are features that we're talking about are likely now and then during the future. But some of the other things that we're talking about in the further future is some other interesting aspects here. Ways to log in to view only your associated accounts in a secure way. So this would be not using a private key, but of course you can perform transactions, but the ability to log in and view your account in a secure way. That's coming. Ledger support is something that we've been looking at for a long time. That's something that we're working on in the future. And then as we expand out to additional chains, I think I can see some other features and utilities that we've been working on, working their way into this as well. I think the last kind of piece here is metrics and data, and that's something that we've really been putting a huge emphasis on. There's a lot of data about seed, everything from, what is the pegged value, what has this been like over time, reward history, the ROI, things like that are like all things that we're working really hard to put into this. So I'd say there's going to be a lot of data in there. Definitely a lot of data that will come into that.
Thank you. I just want to note, I do see some questions coming in, so we're going to try to dedicate some time to answer some of these immediately after the announcement. I think we've arrived.
Yeah.
Have we arrived?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Are we ready? Yeah. Are we going to talk about which one blockchain we're going to?
I think we're ready. Are they ready?
Well, I don't know. I've seen kind of the rooms being a little quiet. I'm looking at Telegram right now. I'm watching. I'm listening to everything you're saying out there. I know that we've been talking about it for some time. Which blockchains we're going to next. That's definitely very important to Sesameseed and its future as a multi-chain, staking provider.
Yeah.
And as a big aspect of that, driving communities into blockchain.
Yeah.
So there was a list.
Yeah.
We shared it. The community spoke. I think there was a lot of community members that really said they wanted this blockchain. Beyond that, we were engaged with every blockchain. And so we have made a decision. This is important both for Sesameseed and for Sprout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before I go there, I just want to talk really quickly about the decision.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
As well.
Yeah. Sorry,
So there is, you're like right, but there was a lot on that list, and I just want to make sure that the community is where there was a ton of dialogue. We engaged with a lot of blockchains here. We had a lot of conversations. We really put a lot of time into their white papers, their documents that were out there. What the ethos of these organizations was extremely important, and the way they behaved so far was extremely important. And I'll tell you that at the end of the day, the decision came down to who most closely represents our ethos as a community organization, as trying to support the factors of decentralization in a fair and transparent way, who is doing this in a way that's responsible and is looking at utilities and functionality that is there, that has the foundation of the technology and is investing in the technology of blockchain in unique and innovative new ways. And those were the things that we looked at, and this was no small game. This was highly involved.
I think that's a good point. In fact, sorry I missed that because there was a lot of articles also that were published to support that very idea. When we first set out and mentioned that we were exploring these blockchains, we didn't just talk about the idea of moving somewhere else, but we were running nodes on some of these blockchains to ensure that technically this also works for Sesameseed.
Today,
seed token, all of that.
Today we operate nodes on several other blockchains as well. These were there to test, and we've been doing this for some time. We've been testing this.
That's a good point. Part of the exploration process, definitely the community voice is very important, but also there's a lot behind the scenes that that leads up to this. So,
anyways,
you let me know. I mean, I was ready and I jumped the gun. So.
Anyways, no, that was it. Anything else to add?
Well, whatever blockchain he's about to announce, I can tell you that we've been putting a lot of time to see how Sesameseed provides value to that blockchain. I think that stays within our messaging, with what Sesameseed is. So with Sprout, I think Sprout will make staking on that chain, I think, pretty unique.
Yeah, we did say this Sprout's going to play a really big part on this next blockchain.
Yeah. So anyways, the new blockchain we're going to is Harmony. They're,
hello, Harmony.
Hey guys. So anyways,
you are the one.
Harmony's been. It's the team just gave us the right vibe. The community there is extremely active. The developer community is fantastic. We put in a lot of time reading through all their documentation, seeing where they're at or where they're going. The way that their staking system works is extremely cool. The way that their blockchain works is also extremely cool, adopting a lot of really interesting features from other places that we've seen. And I just gotta tell you, I think that their community is just gonna mesh with ours so well. I think we speak so similarly that's really what did it. And I think that an organization like Sesameseed in Harmony is gonna work really well.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it.
Me too.
Yeah, and I mean, the great thing about making the announcement is now we can definitely move forward and start sharing some information on the integration of Sesameseed into Sprout, or excuse me, into Harmony, the integration of Sprout into Harmony as well. So, you know, we're going to start sharing this information as early as today about the Sesameseed node on Harmony, about Sprout on Harmony. But probably more exciting is next week, we are going to be hosting on another similar AMA, people from Harmony, so that we can talk a little bit more about how we align with one another to your point earlier, and about the community and some of the technical development as well. Yeah, so follow us on social media. All of the links are in the description below on YouTube, on Twitter, on Telegram. Also join our community there. We have a very active voice. People are always asking questions. We're answering questions. So can we get to some of those questions? I think there were some questions on YouTube. We'll get to those first. I don't think I saw anything on Twitter, and maybe some of the ones that are on Telegram. One of the questions was, does redeeming seed for other peg tokens burn the seed? I'm not quite sure if that's necessarily about multi-chain, but maybe you can answer it right now.
Yeah, I guess if you redeem a seed token, you receive all of the peg tokens, the entire basket below it. So a seed on Tron, a seed on Harmony are equal. They're equal tokens, and if you redeem one regardless of what chain, you get everything that it's pegged to. You're going to receive the Tron, the ONT, the ONG, and the one token all together. We'll receive those at the same time.
Yeah. The other one is about we do have a DEX out there on Ontology right now. They're wondering, will that be integrated at some point to Sprout?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm going to put this out there. We've experimented with a lot of really interesting smart contracts and some things like that. We've learned a lot from the ontology governance contract. We learned a lot from the smart contracts that support our DEX. I think that I would see that more as we're learning how this is going to work together. Danny, I know you've been talking about DEX as a part of Sprout for a long time, and I could definitely see it going there. But we're going to want to see it in a way that supports Sprout, which is cross-chain. So that's possible in the future,
Great. There's a question here from Matthew on Telegram asking about the seed token. Actually, several questions. One of them has to do with decimals. Will the new seed token have decimals, and will the distribution still be daily on every chain?
Yeah, so daily distribution of seed is something that we've really stuck to. I don't see that going away. The decimals is an issue. I think that we all know that when we first issued seed, it was not fractionalized, and we are working to standardize seed across all blockchains. So there will be some updates to seed tokens on previous chains, but all future chains are going to be able to be supporting fractions and things like that. So that's something that we're building in. As well as some future-proofing utilities as well, as seed grows into its own chain.
Great. And we have a question here from Mayab, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but their question has to do with multiple mnemonics or adding more than one Tron address or linking more than one Tron address to Sprout. Is that possible?
Currently, no, but I mean, the future will tell. Right now, you can only link one Tron address to one whatever chain, Harmony or ontology address. There will be a feature to unlink an account. So if you have a Tron address linked in with a ontology address linked in with a Harmony address, you could it would be possible to unlink that chain from the other two and relink a different chain. So kind of yes and no.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I think the last question I had here has to do with gas. I want to make sure I get that. Does moving Sprout incur gas fee? So across, I guess I think they're talking about cross-chain swapping, I imagine.
So yeah, this is actually a complexity of Sprout. There are two major transaction types that we've been discussing here. One is redeem and one is swap. When you're performing a redeem transaction, you're executing transactions on now 3 blockchains. There's 4 tokens across 3 blockchains. No, I'm sorry, 5 tokens across 3 blockchains if you include Seed. So there is a lot of transaction and there are gas fees there. We're kind of working on how those details work out, but for redeem itself, most of those can be alleviated by some of the ways that we use energy and various resources on those blockchains. So for the most part, some of those the answer is no, or they're reduced. In regards to swap, though, that's a little more interesting. There are far fewer fees associated with that, though we will be instituting some kind of fee to prevent things like spamming, etc.
Yeah.
So there will be something there, but it's we want the objective is to make it so that when you redeem your tokens, there's no cost to you, and when you swap your tokens, it's as low cost as possible without incurring any kind of spamming or anything like that.
Awesome. We do have one more guest here that has traveled from far, far away. Did you want to be introduced?
Oh yeah, that's okay.
All right.
That's okay.
All right.
All right. Well, before we go, we just wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you for everyone who is part of our community. For those of you just learning about us, please do join us. Our most active community is on Telegram. There's our teams there active every day, community members that have been there from the very beginning as well, who are happy to explain Sesameseed, Seed, and now Sprout as well. We're also launching the beta program for Sprout. So for those of you watching this on YouTube, the description below has a link to a Google form. Please do sign up if you're interested to be part of the beta forum. For those of you who aren't, we'll share this on all social medias and Telegram. So you can also take part of the beta process starting next week. Am I right, Dan?
Yep.
All right, great. And so please do also join us for the next AMA. Follow us on all social medias. And until next time, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye, guys.